A new report on digital lending in Kenya has revealed that many people have interest rates charged as least of the concerns. KTN's Noah Kipkemboi with that report.
Kenya's financial inclusion has been on the rise, courtesy of digital lending platforms, which have managed to avail credit in a faster and less stringent manner.
Digital lending, and in this case we're referring to the lending of non-deposit taking digital lenders, is really at the backbone of the economy in the sense that it really fosters financial inclusion for those who would otherwise have no means to obtaining credit facilities.
Findings by the State of Digital Lending in Kenya Report 2021 reveals that most users of digital credit facilities are aged between 30 and 34 years, constituting for 26% of male and 22% of female beneficiaries.
The people above 65 were the ones most likely to continue using the service. But that age group is also among the least number of people using the DLPs. So the over 65s are not really using DLPs, but the ones who are on DLPs say they will continue using them. And the reason for that was, one, because they are probably more mature and are doing something more sensible with the money. Two, they are probably better financial managers out of interest. But the vast majority of people using DLPs are actually between 20 and 35. That is relatively the youthful people. And amongst the 20 to 35 group, you find that it's mostly the males. Now that scenario changes when you look at the over 35s, where the gender gap has significantly shrunk. It's roughly even consumption of digital loans between males and females.
Recently, Parliament's Finance and National Planning Committee approved the Central Bank of Kenya Amendment Bill 2021 that proposes regulations including curbing steep digital lending rates and rogue actors who use debt shaming as a way of collecting payments.
Going from the flow of the different bills that have been presented, we can tell that the primary regulator is going to be the Central Bank of Kenya. Now, that's not a bad thing. All that we think is important is to make sure that although the central bank is ordinarily a prudential regulator, that they do not apply prudential regulation to these institutions. Going back to the first point, because they do not take deposits from the public, and any risk that is suffered in the advancement of these loans is simply suffered on private funds.
According to the report, demographically, majority of the active borrowers on digital lending platforms are urban residents, attributed to awareness about the lending platforms and their repayment capability.
It was roughly 34% of the rural population that borrows on these apps. But we found out that there is a literacy issue, an awareness issue. But there were also other issues that came out of the research that we saw, and we will need to dig deeper into that. One is there's an issue of unemployment, so there's inability to pay. So they cannot take the loans because they just do not have the income to repay those loans. Two, there was surprisingly a huge number of people who were not aware that the digital loans exist.
When it comes to digital lending platforms, for majority of Kenyans, convenience overrides the cost. Meaning, give me the money first. On matters interest, I'll think about that later on. Reason, we are seeing the Central Bank of Kenya coming in strongly to regulate how digital lending platforms are pricing their loans. Noah Kipkemboi, KTN News, Nairobi.
And on that note, we are due for a short break. When we come back, BBC Money Daily